Are you wasting hundreds or potentially thousands of dollars on your music business without even realizing it? Well, a lot of musicians are, and it's what's holding them back in their career. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing with you the biggest money pits that musicians and artists often invest in that don't actually bring any fruits to their music career. Because I know a lot of us have heard, we've got to invest in our music career to help it grow. And I believe in that. But I also believe it's important where you invest your money, because you can't just throw money at the wall and expect stuff to happen. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the 8 biggest places that artists waste their money. So if you're serious about growing your music business, then stick around and check this out. So the first thing that most independent artists waste their money on when trying to grow their music career is expensive gear and instruments. Now listen, I understand that there is a certain time and place to invest in your equipment. If you're very first starting out, that's probably where you want to invest in your equipment. But if you've been a musician for a long time, odds are you've got some pretty decent gear, right? And when I say decent, I don't mean thousands of dollars in amplifiers. Some of y'all do, but not a lot of you have to have that. You can just have, oh yeah, I spent a couple $100s on an amplifier a few years ago, or I spent $300 to $500 on a guitar a few years ago, or on a bass, or on a drum kit. Here's the thing, most of you understand that you've got good enough equipment. So a lot of artists I see are like, yeah, the biggest thing right now is I need to get a better mic. If I had a better mic, everything would be fixed for me. And I want to tell you guys, if you don't know how to use a mic or the little subtle intricacies, most people are not going to be able to tell that you got a new mic. I'm just being real with you. Most people are not going to be able to tell that you got a slightly better instrument, or you got a slightly better interface, or you got a slightly better plugin. Those things are nice, and they're sort of luxury things that we can think about in our music business. But investing in expensive gear is often not going to be the thing that makes your music career go well. Now, it may help a little bit in the song, like how the song sounds and the quality of it, but most of the time, the increment to which that's better, it's not worth investing that much money to get that little of an increase in sound. So investing in expensive gear is a really big place that I see a lot of people wasting money on. And I also think this is true with like content. People are buying these exuberant tripods and crazy filter things that you put on your phone camera. That's all well and good in time, but if you have to invest $600, $800 into a tripod just to start recording content, that's ridiculous. Now, some of you know, because you've watched my videos, that my mic is not like $1,000 mic. I'm not an audio engineer or anything. I just got this mic because it was the best thing I could get at the time. I actually have a new mic coming in at the request of a lot of people, so little inside, little thing for everybody that's been watching these videos. So we're getting a new mic, woo! But the point is, I got this and I started making content with it. And this is a mic that, while it's not a $4,000 microphone or something like that, it's allowed me to put out content that's garnered thousands of views. I'll take it. Right? So a lot of artists think, oh, I've got to get this fancy new thing or else my content's not going to take off. I promise you that is not going to be the difference maker, okay? Investing in, you had an iPhone 15 and now you're going to invest in the iPhone 16. I guarantee that's not going to be the biggest difference in your content. It's going to be the messaging and the type of scenarios that you create. So I think you guys get the point, investing in excessive gear in regards to anything in your music business. Avoid that, and that will be a pit that you do not have to fall in. All right, the second thing that most artists are investing in that is a complete waste of time is merch. Wait a minute, whoa, Dax. What do you mean by that? Let me clarify for a second here. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in merchandise. But what I do believe is if you invest in merchandise, you shouldn't invest in too much, okay? That's really where a lot of artists I see making a lot of mistakes. They order 100 shirts, 50 shirts of a particular design, and then it takes them 2 years, 3 years to sell every single last one of those. That is not something that is economically sustainable, because that shirt's shelf life and interest in your local community, after you've played a few shows with the same merchandise, they're going to be looking for some new stuff. And you may be like, well, I haven't sold all of them. I need to sell a lot more. Well, they're like, well, we're done. The people who are going to buy this have bought it, and we're kind of over it. We want the new thing. And if you have to buy 50 more and 50 more and 50 more, that's not a sustainable business model. So what I recommend is if you're going to invest in merchandise, keep it low on the quantity, okay? That way you can sell out of them pretty fast. I recommend 25 shirts, 20 shirts. That's a good order to get you through a couple local shows. Now, if you're a touring artist and you're playing multiple shows, you may have to invest in 50 shirts, 100 shirts, depending on how big of a tour you're going on. But for a lot of independent artists that are starting out, it's probably more prudent of you financially to invest in small batches of merch. Plus, from there, you can utilize sales angles like limited edition, one time only, limited sizes, whatever the way that you want to create scarcity around these items that really are running out of stock because you only invested in 15 of them or 20 of them. That creates real scarcity, which helps drive up the sales. So that's one thing I want you guys to look at. Just it's a short one in the list of things, but don't invest in too much merchandise so that you can get through it quickly, have the funds to reinvest in some more and keep that cycle going, okay? Now, number 3, I see a lot of artists making this mistake where they think that investing in high-end studio time is going to be the thing that catapults them to the next level. And listen, I understand the feeling. I've done the whole record the record at home and try to do the mixing mastering at home, and it does not sound as good as if you go into a $20,000 studio, like let's say you go to Sweetwater. It's not going to sound as good as that. I get it, right? But here's the thing. A lot of artists are so scared that their content, or should I say their music, doesn't reach a certain quality that they're all of a sudden now going to be rejected by people that listen to their music. I can tell you guys right now, one of the songs that in my band, I was like personally like, oh, I don't like the mix on this. I wish the mix could be better. It sounds too demo-y, but we were just at a certain phase in our career. That's our best performing song over songs that have had way more production added to it. In fact, one of our most recent songs that was highly produced in a big studio, it was Sweetwater, actually didn't do as well as the ones that were recorded here in this studio I'm standing in. It's pretty crazy, right? So don't always think that investing in high-end studio time is going to be the thing that makes a difference. I think if you're going to invest in studio time, invest in the minimum necessary equipment. Remember, don't invest in the super expensive, elaborate gear like we talked about in point number 1. Invest in the minimal necessary gear to get it going, right? So for instance, maybe you're a rapper or something. So all you really need is an interface that hooks up to a microphone, okay? You got that, you can program the loops and the beats on the inside of the DAW. That's a digital audio workstation like FL Studio or whatever, Logic, and you can go in there and you pretty much just need a mic and an interface and a laptop or a computer if you got one, and you're ready to go. Other people may need a little bit more setup. Maybe you're a guitar player, a piano player, a drummer. If you're a drummer, you need a whole lot of mics. If you're a bass player or guitar player, in that interface, you need to be able to plug in your instrument. So that's one of the things that you want to look at, the minimum necessary equipment needed to actually do what you're trying to do, and then go out there and do your best. Work with what you got. And what I recommend when it comes to studio is have a budget. Figure out what exactly of a budget you have for this. And if you spend all of your money on the studio, do you have any budget for marketing afterwards? Or merchandise, small quantities, remember? Do you have any money left over for that? Well, then probably not the best thing to do is to go blow all your money on studio time. Okay, let's jump into number 4. I think paying marketers to do the marketing for you is a big issue. I've seen artists who are really good artists, they're well-meaning, and they're trying to go out and network with people and find a team that's going to help them make this work. I work with artists personally one-on-one all the time, and so I know what that's like. But I've seen some of those same clients that I work with have reached out in the past to people like, hey, I'll market your Instagram for you and get you thousands of views. And what happens? They pay them money and they send them bots and fake likes and fakes, all this stuff. And they end up, their hearts are broken in the end, And that doesn't do any good for you, right? So if anybody is trying to claim you give them money and they're going to just, like magic, behind the scenes, you won't have to see anything. They're just going to magically in the shadows, make your music business successful and start to grow your audience. Then I would run as fast as humanly possible. And you would be surprised how many people are falling into these schemes. It's really, really sad. So just public service announcement. If someone's going to come in there and say, we'll market to you and get fans that care about it and you'll get tons of views and all this kind of stuff, I'd be very, very skeptical. Unless they're saying, here's how we can show you how to create your content, right? They have a plan for you to create the content. But if they're just like, in the shadows, you don't have to do anything different. We're just going to make your music business work and all you do is pay us. That is a shady business and you should probably run. Okay. Number 5, I see a lot of artists wasting their money, and I'm one of those people. I'm an artist who's wasted tons of money in one of these categories I'm about to tell you, which is PR and radio. That's right. PR and radio are by and large in the early stages of your career a waste of time and a waste of money, okay? I had to pay a PR person that got us a couple of interviews that didn't really matter. Even though I love the guy, it's just, we weren't big enough for him to really do anything with us, which is kind of one of the caveats of working with managers, PR, radio. You have to kind of be at a certain point. You have to be at a certain threshold before it actually starts to make sense to invest in a person like that. So you get little to no results, especially radio. Radio is so expensive and you get basically nothing. I remember, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. As a band, we spent $8,000 on a radio campaign. Do you want to know how much our Spotify went up as a result of that $8,000 we invested as a band? It went nowhere. It didn't do a dang thing. And it's like, you would think, as an artist in this kind of early stage in our career, we were pretty naive, right? We just thought, oh, you give them money and they find a way to put it on the radio and then all of a sudden people know who you are and we have fans and this is great. That's not how it works. And I actually found out, some of you may have heard this story before, a label executive I was on tour with their band and he happened to slip after hitting a dab pin one too many times that he had an inside guy that they would give money to, and he would basically juice the plays for that particular artist for a fee. And it was just a little scheme they had to inflate artist egos, like, hey, you got on some indicator chart that nobody cares about. Yeah, if you do well on the indicator charts, then you can get onto the bigger radio stations. But by and large, it's a waste of time and a waste of money. It's a waste of emotion. It will bleed you dry financially and leave you there like, oh, and then those people will kind of pull, well, it just didn't do well. Sorry, we tried, but it just did what it did. And they blame it on you after taking $8,000 of your money. So radio campaigns and PR campaigns are an absolute waste of money in the early sides of your career. Don't do it. It's just better off to avoid that stuff and reinvest that in marketing into yourself, okay? Now, number 6, this is one that a lot of people have a lot of attachment to. Music videos. Music videos, I think, are kind of a waste of money, especially right now. Now, listen, I have people out there that I've worked with that make fantastic music videos, and I'm going to work with them in the future and stuff whenever we do that kind of stuff. But the idea that to match the current market climate around releasing music, think about it like this. Labels understand now that content is king. So they're willing to invest in more music videos than ever before for their artists because they understand that they can't just have 1 or 2 singles. They have to have 3, 4 singles, 5 singles to keep the momentum on the album. And each of these singles needs a music video. So a lot of artists will see these labels investing a lot of money into music videos and assume, if I want to make it, I have to have a music video too. Well, here's the thing. You can create a music video for free right now. And here's what I mean. Content around your music is like a music video. It's like a mini music video. And in a lot of cases, look at people like Forrest Frank, Connor Price, Nick D, like these people utilize content, and it was far better in garnering fans than the traditional music video, right? The traditional music video is sort of an outdated thing, or if you just have deep pockets that you're just looking to burn a hole in, then maybe pay for a bunch of music videos, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's a waste of money that you could save in the early sides of your career. In fact, I think videographers need to figure out a model where they can help artists with short form content and make that their prime business model, as opposed to the traditional long form, because a really good high def music video in long form is going to be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 if you really want to do it that well. And so that's just not sustainable. Most people don't have, let's say $12,000 to invest in 3 music videos. It's just not sustainable for the independent artist. And a lot of people waste money thinking that's something they need, and they put a lot of focus and time and energy on it. And that's something I want to bring up right here, is that notice how much time can be wasted thinking and pondering too much about expensive gear that you think you need that's going to make the difference, or investing in, I want to have enough merch so that we don't sell out. It's like, what? You want to sell out. That's a good thing. That means you have enough money to reinvest and people actually liked it. And that way, if they didn't like it, you're not in the hole $700 or something like that. Okay? You spend a lot of time fixating on, my music isn't the highest quality it could possibly be, so I need to invest $10,000 in studio time. Or, you understand the point. Every single one of these things people are focusing on too much, and they're building up this emotional tension around. So it not only wastes your time, it not only wastes your money, but it drains you emotionally to worry about these things, because they're too expensive for most independent artists to implement on a consistent basis. And so you shouldn't stress about it, because there's other alternatives to utilize. Let's go to number 7. Okay, we only got a couple more left here. Number 7, competitions and showcases. I can't stand these things. To me, most of them are scams. Like, even the ones that are legit, like there was one recently called America's Next Top Hit Maker, and it was a vote, and whoever wins is going to get a session with Busta Rhyme. And I know a lot of people. I had a client who was like, no, dude, I just think if we ignore all the foundational stuff you're talking about and just focus on this thing, that my career is going to take off. And I'm just like, that thing is going to be a huge waste of time and emotion, and you're going to beg people to like, and beg, please like my thing, please like my thing, and then you don't win. Then what happens? You just asked all your people, like I'm saying, like, it's just annoying for the fans to have you so emotionally wrapped up in this showcase that's not going to do anything, when you could be investing in other things that actually bring them more music, more content, more things they can enjoy. And I think about this all the time. There was a time starting out where I did something called the Guerrilla Music Battle of the Bands. And they made you sell tickets, as each band sold tickets. Then the winner of that Battle of the Bands was supposed to go on to a semifinal in Dallas. We're in Oklahoma. Well, we won that initial Battle of the Bands, and we never found it. I'm still waiting to this day to hear back Guerrilla Music. I would love to know when our semifinals in Dallas are going to be. I would really like to collect that supposed prize money and record deal that I was supposed to get as a result of this. But, who knows? Maybe they'll come through next year. We'll see. But you get it. There's so many showcases out there where artists don't understand that they're the product in that situation. What do I mean? The promoters of these events know that these are not going to be smash hits to the public. So what they do is utilize the artists to milk their network for tickets and ticket sales. Then they pocket all the ticket sale money. And then from that point, they're like, okay, and you're going to potentially win something in the second semifinals and all this stuff, and then that never comes. So they just made a whole bunch of money off you in the show. They don't have to give you anything. You can just leave now. And that's sort of the end of it. And that's how most of these showcases work. I'm telling you, don't waste your time trying to get on the next thing. Now, if an actual, like I remember there was a band, Nothing More, who saw that there was a label showcase, and so it wasn't a subsidiary of a thing. Oh yeah, they're hooked up with Sony. No. Unless it says Sony, don't mess with it. Oh no, you don't get it, Dax. They're a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. They're hooked up through Warner Brothers. You'll hear things like that. Oh, is it Warner Brothers? No, they're like hooked up through Warner Brothers. No, unless it says Warner Brothers, I wouldn't mess with it. And even sometimes then Rolling Stone put their name on America's Next Top Hit Maker. So even if like Rolling Stone puts their name behind it, you can't even guarantee then that it's actually a legit thing. Like I get it, there is probably a winner and they're going to work with Busta Rhymes, but then what? That's the question everyone should have been asking in this competition. Okay, I get signed up with the thing with Busta Rhymes. Okay. Then what? Well, I'll tell you then what. Nothing then what. That's all. That's all you got. You won the competition. You win. That's it. Get out. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens with those things. So avoid those like the plague. I just think they're a huge waste of time, money, and emotion. And then number 8, the final and last money pit that artists fall into when investing into their music career. Touring with no strategy. And I make that caveat with no strategy because touring can mean a lot of different things. Touring can mean I'm taking the month off to go play 22 shows or so, and we're going to be traveling the country and making it work. Touring could mean, yeah, we're taking off every weekend of this month to go hit up states that are around us. Touring could mean we're playing in our state all around for the next 3 weeks. Touring has such an umbrella term, so I don't want to say all of that is a waste of time, because those are all different things. But a lot of people think that they can just pack up and go tour, and then it's going to be a money-making thing because they went out and booked some shows. If you do not have the right strategies, what do I mean by strategies? If you don't have the right routing, I'm telling you right now, a lot of bands make a bad mistake of not understanding proper routing when trying to book these shows, and you'll be surprised how many promoters and booking agents don't understand proper routing whenever they're booking these shows. But there's so many different things that you need to have in line, so many ducks you need to have in a row before you go out of state consistently for a week or longer. It's just most of the time a money pit, because sometimes people rent vehicles, so you have to pay a daily fee and insurance on the vehicle. That's expensive. You have to pay for gas. That's expensive. You still have to pay for food, and there aren't any hardly home-cooked meals out on the road, so it's a lot of paying to get food. Very expensive over a long period of time. Now, sure, you can go to Walmart and get some sandwiches, and that helps out if you're willing to do that kind of stuff. But still, over time, with all the expenses, it's expenses. It's expenses. It's expensive. Expenses are expensive. That's why they sound the same. But the whole point here is you have to have a strategy, and that kind of takes me to the overarching point of all of these different things I've brought up today. You can invest in gear, but if you don't have a strategy as to why you're investing in that gear and how that gear is actually going to make some kind of discernible difference in your music business, like what do I mean by music business? I don't know, getting more fans, turning more of those fans into people who are willing to support you financially. Those are the type of things that I would be more concerned about, right? But a lot of artists are more, the thing, but I got to get this new shiny object, right? They don't have a strategy with their merch. They just buy a big bundle of merch without thinking how long it's going to take to sell all that merch. So the having a strategy bit is insanely important, because there are ways to invest in everything in the music business that I've listed. But if you don't do it, except for the people with the bots in the competitions, those don't have any good scenarios that they work in. Those are all bad all the time. So just putting that out there. But the rest of it, if you have a strategy around it, it can make sense to why you're investing in it. And I hope this video has cleared a lot of the junk in your way. It's like, okay, well, Dax, if I'm not going to invest in that stuff, what should I invest in? It's a great question. Could be a whole other video. I'll give you a little bit, which is I would start investing in yourself. What does that mean? Invest in learning how to increase your marketing capacity. Learn how to write better songs. I'm not saying anybody in here watching writes bad songs, but I'm saying invest in the skill set to always be growing, always be expanding your skill set in songwriting, in marketing, in selling, in performing. These are all great places to invest in your knowledge and your skills, because if you, let's say, become a better performer, your gigs will be more impactful and you will sell probably more merchandise as a consequence. If you learn how to sell more, you have a better skill set when it comes to selling. You can sell in your emails, you can sell in person at venues, you can sell through lives, you can do all kinds of stuff. If you increase your marketing capacity, you know how to promote your music, you know how to get attention, you know how to attract the right people and repel the wrong people. If you increase your songwriting capacity, you figure out how to write music that actually touches people, and you figure out music that allows you to communicate what you're trying to communicate as an artist in the most impactful way. So investing in yourself, as Benjamin Franklin says, will pay you the highest dividends. But thinking that, oh, I'm just going to give my money to some videographer to make a music video and now all my content's going to blow up, I would be very cautious, because I don't think that is actually going to yield you very good results. So hopefully today you've gotten a lot of value in this video. You've learned some of the things that will help you avoid the money pits that exist out there in the music business, so that you can have a lean, green machine when it comes to your music business. Make sure, if you got some value out of this, to hit the subscribe button and the like button. It really helps out the channel a lot. Make sure to hit the notification bell and leave a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts on maybe some other things that I missed that are a complete waste of musicians' resources and don't give them an ROI. So leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, if you'd like some one-on-one help with your music business, we do have a few openings for some clients, so there's a link in the description. You can check that out if that's something that you're interested in. Otherwise, I will see you guys on another Musicians Ignite. Take care.